Hi, welcome all to this webinar on ASME quality program for suppliers. Our faculty today is Dr. Pawan Shavdarov. He is the ASME Services Manager of LRQA Verification Limited, and he has a long-term experience as an ASME Authorized Inspector and ASME Authorized Inspector Supervisor. Dr. Shavdarov is a member of various committees to the Board on Conformity Assessment of ASME and the Board on Pressure Technology Codes and Standards for Section 1, 2, 5, 8, and 9 of ASME. So, welcome, Dr. Pawan.
Welcome. So, hello everyone. My name is Pawan Shavdarov. Thank you for joining, and I'm going to give you some more insight into the ASME QPS standard and certification program, which is one of relatively new certification programs of ASME. So, enjoy the training session.
Yeah,
As you see, we will share. We will share the recording after the session. At the end of my presentation, you can submit your questions using the chat, and my colleagues are going to signify that. So after the presentation, we'll have this question and answer session, and I hope to be able to answer all your questions. If I can't answer a specific question, this will be notified, and I'm going to come back to you shortly after the webinar. Please fill the short survey after the webinar to give us some feedback, how it was running, what you liked, and what we need to consider for improvement. So the content of this webinar is shown on this slide. We'll start with the ASME conformity assessment and certification programs, and I'm going to make you familiar with the QPS standard. Of course, not in detail because this is just an introductory training session. I'm going to show you a couple of very specific QPS requirements and how the certification path is look like, information about the pricing, how the products are being certified, and of course, if you have some specific questions, we are going to take care of them. ASME is located in the United States of America. The headquarters are in New York, but ASME has various offices through United States of America in Little Falls, New Jersey, in Washington, D.C., Houston, Texas, and also Connecticut. Outside the United States of America, ASME has a liaison in Europe. This is Mr. Giancarlo Gobbi from Italy. And there are two more offices in Asia, in Beijing, China, and New Delhi, India. Not only for that purpose, in reason, China and India is a very important market for ASME. And it's really a pleasure and privilege for me to make this webinar for India. Now, the ASME certificate holders are mainly located in North America, in Europe, in Asia, Asia Pacific, and also Middle East. The number of the certificate holders is approximately 6,900 currently. The certificate of authorization issued by ASME are approximately 11,650. ASME has now certified companies in 81 countries. 57% of the certificates which are issued are now outside US, and more than 2,000 individuals are certified as certified individuals. ASME has developed and maintains various quality programs and conformity assessment programs. And as you can see from this slide, there are 4 types of conformity assessment programs. The first one is product certification, like the boil and pressure vessels, the BPV, nuclear components, the reinforced thermoset plastic corrosion resistant equipment, and bioprocessing equipment. The second type of certification is the quality program certification, like ANQA1, which is the quality assurance requirements for nuclear facilities, nuclear materials for companies producing and also supplying materials, and the QPS, the quality program for suppliers, which is our focus today. ASME has 2 accreditation programs for authorized inspection agencies and for pressure relief device testing labs, and 3 personnel certification programs. What is QPS and why should QPS be applied? Let's take a manufacturer of pressure equipment in accordance with Section 1 or Section 8, Division 1. This manufacturer is delivering pressure equipment in accordance with the ASME boil and pressure vessel code. So this manufacturer is a certificate holder, and this manufacturer is being issued a certificate of authorization by ASME, which enables them to apply the ASME certification mark. But normally this manufacturer has various subcontractors, and some of those subcontractors are, for example, material manufacturers, non-nuclear, or companies that deliver services like NDE, design, heat treatment, forming, etc. And those suppliers are outside of the BPV and nuclear certification program of ASME. So there are no certification scopes for them. So for that purpose, the QPS program was developed and will be implemented by ASME to allow all these companies, all these suppliers, to get a certificate of authorization from ASME. Now, this program is very specific. It is different from the BPV and nuclear certification programs because it is not a product certification program. It is a program certification, which means that the organization does not certify the product itself, but they have and maintain a quality program, and they follow this quality program in order to deliver their product or services to their clients. So the QPS is a program that can be applied and implemented by many types of organizations, and this is exactly the purpose. So for those organizations who are outside of the certification scope of ASME to be able to get certified. So this is an upgrade to technical standards which do not have a dedicated section addressing quality requirements, because such standards, they are just standards for, let's say, manufacturing of products, but they have no provision to provide quality programs. So QPS can be used as an addition and in conjunction with such standards. And this is important. So it's not a replacement of an existing ASME program. It is a separate program. And again, it is anticipated for companies which are delivering something, following their program, and verifying that following their program, they will deliver products or services which are in compliance with their customers' requirements. And now the customers' requirements can come from a standard, from a specification, or from another source document. As I mentioned, the QPS is applicable for many types of manufacturers. And here on this slide, you can see some examples. Let's say raw material manufacturers. So if an organization is raw material manufacturer, following the BPV certification program, they cannot be certified because there is no certification scope for that. But they may use now the QPS program to get an ASME certificate of authorization, which will provide them a lot of benefits, including getting listed in the public list of certificate of authorizations, which is on the ASME webpage. Another example for such organization is material manufacturers, non-nuclear, because there is no requirement in the Ball and Pressure Vessel Code non-nuclear sections for those organizations to be certified. So this certification is not covered by the BPV, and so a material manufacturer can use the QPS standard to get certificate of authorization from ASME. Manufacturers with or without design responsibility, service providers like NDE, auditing services, heat treatment, welding, machining, coatings, forming, and there are so many processes which are not covered by the certification program of ASME Ball and Pressure Vessel Code or nuclear, but now they can get the certificate. Now, the program that needs to be established, the quality program that needs to be established by the manufacturer is according to the QPS standard. There are requirements, of course, for the quality program, quality manual, but these requirements are a bit different from what you know and what you are familiar with the Ball and Pressure Vessel Code, for example. The certain requirements can be, let's say, replaced by diagrams, charts, tables, spreadsheets, whatsoever, and not necessarily expressed by wording, so that the program is much understandable and that can be easily implemented by the organization and that can be easily understood by the customer. So what I'm saying is that this program is more flexible than the requirements from the BPV, let's say, according to the quality program. A very important requirement in the QPS standard is the competency matrix. And this matrix shows how the manufacturer is prescribing the competency requirements for the key employees, those employees who need to be qualified, who need to be competent, who need to be somehow credentialed. And there are certain positions in the organization that need credentials, like quality manager, technical manager, ND staff, welders, those who are performing internal or external audits. All these people must be competent, and this competency must be specified by the organization, normally in a document called competency matrix. The QPS is divided into two parts. The first part is more general. It is covering the introduction section, the scope, the detailed terms, definitions, and standards references. And more important is the second chapter, which outlines the 17 essential elements or requirements to be addressed in the quality manual. Now, if one of the elements is not necessarily applicable for an organization, it can be excluded, but there must be an explanation why it is excluded. And you can see these 17 elements on this slide. Quality program, it is a typical section in every quality manual. saying some responsibilities and organization, like the second chapter. Document control is also a typical section in each program. Technical job file requirements, this is very important and specific for QPS because QPS is a quality program, and following this quality program, the organization proves that they may deliver products or services in compliance with their customers' requirements, but there are no requirements in terms of the manufacturing of these, let's say, products. That's why the QPS is always used in conjunction with a construction code or governing standard. And the requirements from this governing standard are being transcribed and transferred from this governing standard into a technical job file. So the technical job file will tell which technical requirements need to be considered and to be implemented in conjunction with the QPS requirements. So that in the end of the day, the organization can declare, can certify that the requirements of the QPS are fulfilled and also the requirements in the technical job file. Another element is instructions, procedures, and drawings. We have also procurement document control, where the, let's say, the selection of suppliers is covered, and also the preparation of purchase orders. Another element is control of procured products, where the receiving inspection control is, for example, control and identification of products, control of processes, inspection and testing, control of measuring and testing equipment, handling, storage, and shipping, control of non-conformities, corrections and corrective actions, monitoring of processes, control of records, and certification. Some of you may have already recognized that there are elements which are very close to elements from ISO 9001, like control of processes, for example, corrections and corrective actions, monitoring of processes. QPS is talking about monitoring any improvement and effective implementation, all stuff which is covered by ISO 9001. So there are many similarities, but also differences to ISO 9001. And I'm going to explain to you two major differences from ISO 9001. So ISO is really very, very broad in the scope. It is a generic set of requirements. It can be implemented literally for every type of organization, not necessarily technical, but also let's say taxi company or laundry or every single company. While QPS is also broad, but not as broad as ISO, because QPS is as a standard which is anticipated for suppliers, for general industry. And so this is basically the scope of the standard. So it's not that broad as ISO 9001. And the second major difference is that ISO does not provide a centralized certification. So ISO 9001 certification is being offered, let's say, by third-party organizations, which means that it's up to the organization to select which company is going to audit them and issue their ISO 9001 certificate. This is not the case with ASME QPS, because only ASME may issue a certificate of authorization. And this is good because this provides consistency, and in the end of the day, the requirements are clear and transparent. So it is applicable to, again, to companies which are supplying for general industry and um, it is again a centralized system because it is only issued by ASME. So these are the two major differences. There are very specific requirements in QPS which you should know, because these are really very different from what you know from the ASME ball and pressure vessel code. Now, the quality manager is required to complete a formal ASME QPS training course. This is a specific requirement. So the quality manager must undergo a course being administered and provided by ASME. Another requirement is that after the initial certification, then the certificate basically is valid all the time, but every year there must be an additional audit by ASME in order for the company to maintain their certification current. So if this audit is successful, the certification is prolonged automatically for another year. And then next year, ASME is providing the audit again. And if everything runs smoothly, then the certificate is renewed automatically for another year, and so on. The surveys are performed at each location, which is identified in the application and also in the manual. Subcontractors are not included in the audit. So ASME does not basically audit the subcontracted activities at the subcontractor's location, but they will, of course, audit the controls put in place by the organization to ensure that the subcontract activities are in compliance. The agencies are not involved, so no AAA is officially involved in the certification process. The survey team and then the annual audit team size is determined based on the size of the organization and complexity of the quality program. The lead time normally takes from 3 to 6 months. And if it's a renewal, then the application must be sent at least 5 months prior to the expiration date. So the certification path is normally consisting of 5 stages. The first one is the company profile. So the company needs to register in CA Connect and make a company profile. The second step is to prepare an application. So the application process is similar to the BPV and nuclear certification program. So the application form needs to be completed. There is an agreement form that needs to be signed off by the applicant. The applicant must upload their QMS manual and procedures and all documents which are related to the quality program. They need to complete and provide the checklist, which is similar to the ASME guide for the BPV and nuclear certification programs. There is a Form 5, which is an additional form that needs to be completed by the company because it contains additional information which is useful to the review team to get some more impression and flavor about the company, the size of the company, the scope of the company, what they are anticipating to perform, the contact details, location details. So all this information is captured in this Form 5. Of course, the fees needs to be paid, and I'm going to show you more information about the pricing. And with this, the application is sent to ASME. The next step is, of course, for the ASME to schedule the dates, and then for the company to prepare themselves for the survey. Part of this preparation is to send the quality manager to take the ASME QPS course, which will help him to understand the QPS rules and how to implement them. Then it's time for the survey. The survey is divided into two parts. Stage 1, which is document review, and stage 2, which is implementation review. Stage 1 is similarly to the day 1 of the normal BPV joint review. It is simply a review of documentation to verify that the documents are in compliance with the QPS standard. The specific thing here is that it can be done in advance, remotely, or it can be done aligned with stage 2, which is the implementation review, on site. So it is something that ASME is going to determine. So there are two options. Either stage 1 is being performed in advance, separately. In this case, the ASME team leader is going to write a report, to send the report to ASME for consideration review. And then there will be a stage number 2, which is the implementation review, of course, on site, where the team leader is going to verify that the program is being implemented so that at the end, the product or service is in compliance with the QPS standard and the technical job file. If the review is successful, then the team leader is going to recommend issue the certificate to the certification committee. Certification committee is going to consider the information from the review based on team leader's report or reports, and then if they are convinced that the review was successful, they're going to assign a certificate number and issue a certificate of authorization to this applicant. With this, the process is over. And now some more information about the review. As I mentioned, there are two stages, stage 1 and stage 2. So during the stage number 1, the ASME auditor reviews the manual, the procedures, instructions, forms, and whatever forms are included in the quality program in order to assess the compliance with the QPS standard. So here the focus is the QPS standard. The requirements of the standards must be transferred into the quality manual and all documents related. And as I said, a written report of the survey is issued by the team leader and sent to ASME with recommendation. Any findings, of course, need to be addressed. And the stage 2, the implementation review, is now the second part, the implementation part. And again, there is a written report stating what the outcome of the review was, if there are some deficiencies, open deficiencies or not. And ASME is going to process this information before they decide if they will issue the certificate. The pricing model is very well determined by ASME, and there are two cases here. Case number 1 is initial certification. So this is an applicant seeking QPS certification for the first time. And case number 2 is maintenance, which is every year after the initial certification. In both cases, the price is fixed, and the price is dependent on the class structure. And there are 6 classes determined by ASME based on the number of employees, the number of locations, and the complexity of the quality program. So on the right hand side, you see the classes, the number of employees. So if an organization has, let's say, 75 employees, one location, and the program is not very simple, but also not very complex, then the price will be $27,000 US, and for maintenance it will be 8,250, of course, current fees, because in a couple of months probably these fees will look differently or can look differently. So this is current information from where we stand. The price for initial certification is being paid in 2 stages. The first one is 50% of the certification fee of the total fee is paid in advance, and the second 50% are being paid before the certificate is being issued. So the review was successful, and then the fee is paid, the rest of the fee, and once the money is there, then ASME are going to issue the certificate of authorization. For the maintenance, there is no such separation. The full payment must be paid in advance. The price includes everything related to the application and to the certification itself. So it is all-inclusive price, it is flat rate, it is fixed. And again, it includes everything, the certificate itself, the efforts of the team leaders, the administrative efforts from ASME, the travel costs, the both reviews, any documentation that needs to be created and processed by ASME. So everything is included in this price. About the certification of the products, QPS is a program certification. It is not it is a program certification, not a product certification, which means that when a product is being produced, then this product is not stamped with ASME certification mark. Because important here is that the company is able to produce following their program and not to certify each single product. And this is exactly the opposite case with the BPV nuclear program, where each single product is being certified. So ASME needs to verify that the program is appropriate and correctly implemented so that each product or service delivered by the organization are in compliance with the QPS program and the technical job file. Again, there is no stamp. This is specific. And the other thing that is specific is that the organization must issue a certificate of conformance. And this is basically how the organization certifies the product. So there is no stamp on the product, but there is a document, certificate of conformance, where the it is identified that the company is following a quality program. This quality program is reviewed and approved by ASME. So the company needs to identify the certificate number and expiration date. They need to say the addition, revision, or version of their quality manual, and this is again their certification of the product. Also, the certificate must be signed off by the quality manager, and the quality manager must be clearly identified, because this is one of the most important individuals within the organization. This is the individual that was trained by ASME on QPS standard and who is supposed to drive the whole process so that in the end the product can be in line with the QPS standard. If there is a change in this function, obviously ASME must be informed, and then if a new person is going to be a quality manager, he needs to be trained again. If the quality manager is simply replaced temporarily by somebody else, that needs to be explained in the quality program. It is allowed. That needs to be explained. All controls need to be explained, how it will be ensured that this position is being occupied correctly and what the responsibilities will be, etc. Everything needs to be described. And also, the product, as I said, will not be stamped, and there will not be a statement within the conformity certificate of conformance that ASME is that there is an ASME certification mark. This statement must be excluded because this will not be correct. So the certificate of conformance will contain a statement that the final product is certified by the certificate holder, but not by ASME, because again, this is not a product certification. This is simply certification of the quality program of the organization. And so the declaration of conformance basically will be the guarantee that this product is in line, but again and again, because this is not a product certification, there will not be implication that the product itself is in compliance with an ASME standard or another standard. It will be a confirmation that this product is being produced according to the quality program, and part of this quality program is, of course, in each project is the technical job file. So this is mainly what the QPS standard is about, how it is being structured, how the certification is running, the prices, and also what the organization may or may not certify after the production. Why LQA is a good partner for you? LQA is represented in many countries. LQA is holding a lot of approvals. LQA is renamed company, and the people working for LQA are very competent. For the QPS program, LQA can be supportive to you for many things. If you remember, I mentioned that no AAAs are involved in the process. So it means that the AAA can be very supportive in this sense that we can even provide consultancy. We can teach you how to create the quality program. We can support you in implementing the quality program. We can support you in defining the competency requirements for your personnel. So all this is absolutely allowed because we are not involved in the certification process, so it will not be a conflict of interest. And with this, the presentation is finished, so I'm happy now to have your questions, and again, I hope that I'll be able to answer them.
Thank you, Dr. Pawan. So I'll just share the questions with you, Doctor, and if you can just reply to the queries. One query that I can see is that what is the expected role of AIA in the QPS certification program?
Yes, so again, we are not officially part of the process. So the AAAs are not officially involved in the certification process. So the AAAs may support the organizations to create their programs, to implement their programs, and to create requirements for their program. So we are free to be used in this process in this case, which is a good thing. There was consideration by ASME to use agency for the annual audits. That is, ASME is doing the initial certification audit, and AAAs may perform the annual audits. But this is something that was simply considered, but there is no such a decision. So again, officially, the AAAs are not involved in the process, but we can support the companies because of this, without any threat of conflict of interest.
Yeah, doctor. And the next question that I can see is that does this kind of certification give a company any leverage while supplying to global companies?
Of course. So this is, as I mentioned, let me go back in my presentation. So being certificate holder audited and approved by ASME is a great benefit for each company, because the company is listed on the ASME webpage, and this is indication that this company is really appropriate. They have a quality program. This program is working. This program is implemented, and so the products or services they are delivering will be in line with this program and in line with the governing standard or the source standard, which is being used in order to um, um, to uh, to provide the technical job file. So a lot of benefits for a company to get this certification. And again, the paperwork is not that extensive as for the BPV and nuclear programs. As I mentioned, of course, there are requirements in the QPS standard, but this certification scheme is much more flexible than the traditional BPV or nuclear certification schemes. And for the companies that are certified, again, that should be a great benefit to get clients. One of the ideas of creating this program was for the supply chain. So for EPC contractors to prescribe through the supply chain that the companies are QPS certified. That was the initial thought, and there are companies in Italy that already sent application to ASME to get this certification exactly for that purpose, because this program will give them, of course, will open the doors for markets and for will give confidence with their customers that they are working in accordance with the rules. If that answered the question.
Yeah, I think so. It's as you said, it's a very sort of a it provides confidence to the users or to the buyers that the company has been accredited by ASME for the program. Yeah. So
Right.
the next question is related to whether this program is mandatory for a part manufacturer.
It's not mandatory. It is it's up to the organization to sorry, to decide if they want to get certification, but it may be imposed by the client and by the final client, the EPC contractor, for example. And that again, that was one of the purposes of creating this program, to unify the requirements and to get confidence through the supply chain that the suppliers are working in accordance with quality program, which is reviewed and approved by ASME. And again, one of the differences to ISO and one of the benefits for the QPS program is that ASME is involved in every single certification. It provides consistency and confidence that the certification process is really done properly, so that the company, when they get certificate, it is well deserved. But the program is not mandatory from regulatory perspective. It may be imposed by the customer.
Yeah. I'm not very clear about this question, Dr. Parwan, whether it is related to QPS or not, but the question is whether AI and AIS can be from the same organization, because AIA has no direct role in QPS. So, not very clear about this question.
Well, normally, if a company is a traditional certificate holder, according to the ASME Ball and Pressure Vessel Code, they have their AAA record with AI and AAS, and this program is not anticipated for them. This program is anticipated for suppliers which are working, which are providing services or products which are normally outside of the certification scope of the ASME Ball and Pressure Vessel Code. So again, it will not be a conflict because the AAs are not officially involved in the certification process. So we can provide advices to and recommendations to the companies how to develop their programs and how to implement them. And another thing which reminds me now is that because the QPS is a quality program like ISO 9001, so this is really an upgrade and to be used in conjunction, because if there is a construction code, then obviously the manufacturer, the organization needs to work in accordance with this standard. And having QPS, it is like an upgrade for them, because they can say through the declaration of conformity that the product is in compliance with the source standard, the governing standard, and also this product is being provided in accordance with now quality program, which quality program may or may not be covered by the governing standard. So this is really something that is on top of what the company is doing and provides really a good opportunity for companies which otherwise may not get certificate of authorization from ASME because it's not in the in the scope of certification. So it really provides good opportunity for each company through the supply chain to get such certificate.
Next question, Dr. Parvan, is related to what type of training is required for quality manager and is it mandatory?
The training is a QPS training, is provided by ASME and is mandatory for the quality manager. By the way, ASME is doing a compliment to the companies who apply for certification, and this training is included in the final price. And also, not only is included in the final price, but the organizations may send 2 individuals to be trained by ASME. So 2 individuals will be sent to ASME to undergo this training course. They will get, of course, certificate, and one of them, at least one of them, must be the quality manager, because the quality manager must be credentialed. It's a code requirement, the QPS requirement. So the quality manager must be trained by ASME for sure. So from quality manager's perspective, it is mandatory. And then the company may send another individual as a as a backup, as a substitution when the quality manager is on leave. Then somebody needs to replace him, and the second individual, maybe the second individual who is trained by ASME, so that he has the same level of understanding and the same level of competency in terms of the QPS program.
Yeah, the next question, I think you have already answered once, whether QPS is mandatory for all ASME certificate holders. So as you already said that it is not a mandatory program as of now. You would like to add?
But I understand the background of this question. Probably I didn't express myself correctly. So if a company is already a certificate holder, there is no need for them to go through this program, because they already have a quality program which is audited by ASME. This program, QPS program, is anticipated for companies who are normally delivering products or services according to standards which do not prescribe such quality program. Let's say if I'm ND company, there is no requirement for me to to be certified in accordance with the standard, or to have ISO 9001, for example. So QPS is appropriate for me to give confidence to my customers that I'm working in accordance with a quality program. They have their written practice, but this is something else. Or if I'm, let's say, heat treatment company or forming company, it's exactly the same. So probably I don't have a quality program because I don't need it from standards perspective. And now with the QPS, I will have such a quality program, and this quality program will be approved by ASME, which is exactly the point. So now I have an ASME approved program so that I will be recognized through the supply chain and by my customer that I'm really a competent partner for them.
The next question is whether ISO 9001 is mandatory for getting this ASME product, ASME certification.
No, it's not mandatory.
So the fee, there is a question related to the fee that we shared in one of the slides, and the question is whether the ASME fee displayed in the presentation is specific to India or is it the same globally?
I didn't catch the last part of your question.
Whether the fee that we shared in the presentation is related to India or is it a global fee?
It's a global. It's global. It's global. It's not related to a country. It is the global ASME rule how to handle this. So the price is fixed based on three parameters: the number of employees, the number of locations, and the complexity of the program. And based on this information, ASME is going to define the class. And as you see, for each class, the fix is the fee is fixed. So 50% is being paid in advance, and the other 50% are being paid at the end of the process.
So does ASME have any plan to mandate this in the future for COA holders?
I'm not aware of such plans, to be honest. Of course, ASME will be more than happy to have more certificate holders, but I don't believe that ASME will mandate or can mandate the implementation of this program.
Yeah.
Of course, ASME encourages the companies to get this decision, but it's not mandatory. It should be a benefit for each company to get this certificate of authorization. It should be benefit for each company to be recognized globally, because again, they will be listed in the official certificate holders list on the ASME webpage. So that's a great advantage for them.
And a question related to the scope. The question is whether the QPS, whether a QPS holder manufacturing carbon steel flanges, can that manufacturer be eligible to manufacture titanium flanges without recertification? So if they qualified for carbon steel flanges, whether they can increase the scope or they need a recertification?
Well, again, this is not a product certification, it is a program certification. So they need to define in their quality program how they are going to handle such products. And if that is the case, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to provide also titanium flanges or other product forms. So again, they do not certify the product itself. If it was a traditional BPV or nuclear program, and the product is very, very different from what they have been certified for, there may be a need for, for a new certification or at least update their certification. But in this case, again, if they follow their quality program, and if the technical requirements for the titanium flange are which are covered in a technical standard or specification, then it should not be any problem for that. And again, this technical job file is very important because this is exactly the bridge between the governing standard and the QPS. So the QPS must have for each project, for each product, must have this technical job file, and this is the guarantee that the requirements are transferred from the governing standard and they go through the QPS program so that in the end of the day, the product will be in line with the QPS program, because the QPS program have provisions to address the requirements from the governing standard. So it is a program certification. It should not be any problem to deliver these new products.
The validity of the program, there is a question related to that. And what is the validity of the certification of supplier and also of the quality manager?
So the certificate is valid for 1 year because there is an annual audit. So if they undergo this annual audit and it is successful, they just need to pay the maintenance price fee, and they will get extension for another year. So basically, there is no expiration date. There is prolongation for each next year. And for the quality manager, he needs to go to the ASME training. Once he has the training, I don't think that this training expires. He is good to go. At least I'm not able of any requirement that implies that he needs to get a refreshment or to that his certificate issued by ASME expires.
Okay. I think we have time for one question, which is without any marking, like, the product cannot be marked with any ASME marking. So without that, how will the manufacturer convey that the product were manufactured in compliance to the QPS certification?
Yes, the company doesn't stamp the product, but the company certifies the product, and they certify the product by issuing a certificate of conformance. And as shown on this slide, the certificate of conformance will contain and indicate the QPS certificate number and expiration date, and also the edition, revision, and date of the quality manual. So this information, the certificate number with expiration date and a reference to the quality manual, is the company's way to declare and to certify the product. It means that the product is manufactured in accordance with a approved quality program, which is still valid. And they have quality certificate issued by ASME, which is also valid. And this is again their certification. This certificate of conformance is like the declaration of conformity, let's say according to PED, the same principle. And there is no stamp because it's not a product certification. It is a program. By fulfilling the program, by following the program, they guarantee that the product is in line with the requirements. This is the quintessence.
Thank you, Dr. Parvan. We have an overwhelming number of questions today, and thank you everyone for your interest. Due to the time restrictions, we cannot answer all your questions right now. But if there are some critical questions, please do get in touch with us. You can write to us at the email ID given in the chat window. Once again, thank you so much for joining our webinar today, and we hope to see you soon in our upcoming webinars. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.